Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Loads of videos to get through today. One of these being the Sandbox, guys. Covered this a few weeks ago, and of course we covered Sand for some time. Actually, picked it in our top 5 gaming picks way back when we started the channel back in May or June. And of course we've seen a phenomenal transition both in the price and the development of the game as well in this period of time. And we covered as well that whole metaverse jump up a couple of months ago now. Can you believe it seems like yesterday that whole meta thing with Facebook was like yesterday? And I'm just like struggling with the time consumption these days. I need a bit of like tenor or something where we can just go backwards and forwards and just, have a bit more time or something. But this is how we are. And Sandbox itself does not stand still either. Of course, a multitude of lands still available to purchase through auctions of people who've already bought them. But just reiterating, guys, like you see why people are buying sand and this whole aspect of people trying to get the land in these games. Of course, when you've got limited land space, of course the demand aspect is higher and therefore the prices become higher. I mean, this one in particular, we're talking about like a few boxes worth here. 3.29 Ethereum, around $13,000 worth of land being available just from that small square. That is mental. And I just saw above there someone selling that one for something like 7 ETH. I mean, that's just the scraping the surface, guys. There's a multitude of land here for sale. Now, of course, people who purchased them early on will be making some great profits on these. But equally, I think the demand is very much there. As the days run out on a lot of these, you're going to find they sell. This is the crazy thing, they sell. And of course, you've got the NFT drops as well. But in general, the game, I mean, the last time we covered this, there was the alpha game, of course. Something that we couldn't participate in ourselves. But there is an alpha season 2 coming, so I would suggest that we perhaps look at how we might be able to get involved in that. But traditionally, I think from what we covered in the last one, of course, you need to like be quite involved in the game already or be in the game. So, I think it's a bit annoying in that aspect in some ways because, for those on the outside that want to get involved, if struggling to get in, unless you're part of the raffle, and obviously that's just pot luck, of course. But, really interested to see that, how successful really the Alpha 1 was. I mean, that was closed on the 20th. I haven't really seen too much bits of information on that since then in regards to perhaps how many people played and things like that. So I'll keep an eye out for any more of those informations. But of course, Sandbox Alpha Season 2 coming with more experiences, more opportunities play to earn, and more passes available for that. So really excited to see how that develops. When that might be, we'll keep an eye out for that and let you guys know. I absolutely love the dead mouse stuff in there. It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, there's loads going on with this game. It's still very early. It's still very new. But you can imagine the marketing potential and the brand potential of this as time goes by. More licensing being involved, more brands being involved. It really is if there's a pun in here, I apologise, but like the blocks foundation, the foundation blocks of these kind of games is phenomenal, and more will follow. We've got more videos to come, obviously, and we're going to cover things like Decentral and their movements across the last few months, etc. But there's a multitude of fantastic things going on with this game. The amount of players, absolutely incredible. So I think this is something to really keep considering as time goes by. In fact, we'll just jump into the chart now and the price to just kind of talk about that in a bit more detail. So, I mean, we were covering sand ages and ages ago. I mean, I was holding sand earlier this year. I think it was around February time. And to be honest, it was, I think, very well priced. I think I was getting mine just around 15 cents or something. This sounds really stupid, but I sold at these top levels of 80 cents. And to be fair, it was a good profit. And I'm not, regretting that. What my major regret, and I mentioned in these previous videos, and certainly a learning curve for the future, is never sell all of them. I just did that and I reinvested in others, and especially when the drops of the markets came around sort of June and July time. So in a way, I kind of like played it well. Okay, from a monetary value perspective, I played well. I made profit, made money, and I reinvested it. That's a tick in the box for me. But the rule of thumb to keep some behind and how you stagger that approach is obviously something you learn along the way, especially if you've been in a cycle before. You understand the momentum and what's possible and what's achievable, especially with new things like this. And look at that, guys, from these low points like 10 cents, and we're now at a price of just under $6.50, and that wasn't even the highest. The highest was obviously way back here when we had the big blowout of the metaverse conversation, $8.46. Can you believe it? And look at that. If I just held on, even just to maybe 1,000 of them or something, let's just take here, for example, this February point and take that up to there. I mean, 3,400%, even to its current position. Even if I thought, oh, I'm going to wait and it doesn't come out, but you've missed this, it's come back up. It's good 2,700% gains. I mean, that's ridiculous. And that's the beauty of getting involved in something so early. I think gaming in general, those that are perhaps involved on Telegram with like Snaps Network and there's a multitude. In fact, we'll do a video early next week about what Telegram groups to look out for if you want to get involved in IDOs, and especially with the gaming environment of things before they launch, on public exchanges and things like that, to get really involved before it all cracks off. I will do a video on that because I think it's really interesting and important to know. I missed out on Cairo Wars a few months back, and that's going mad at the moment. I just want to reiterate this number here. 17,900% up year to date. You heard me correctly. 17,900% up. That is absolutely ridiculous. Could you honestly imagine in your lifetime, and fair play to those that are holding sand, that have bought land or whatever, and that early days when you heard about Sandbox, way before we did our channel, probably earlier before I got into crypto myself, to be involved. If I'd known about Sandbox at its original structural position, I would 100% have got into it because I believe in the metaverse, what it's capable of doing. I believe in the gaming structure of blockchain and crypto. We've only just begun. Can you imagine in 5 years' time when every man and his dog is fully aware of the metaverse, fully aware of gaming, crypto, blockchain? This is how early it is. I think Sandbox has got so much more to give in terms of its price point, in terms of the mechanism of its game. We're really much at the beginning, the early adoption stage. And that's proven really in this price as well. What I was really, really pleased with is this drop down. First of all, a great buy area, which we drew in previously. It didn't come as low as what we thought it would, down to this sort of $3.50 mark. Because we thought we would be testing this area. And to be fair, that's what we're expecting. And I think, even with the whole Bitcoin leveraging failures and things like that, and the whole market destruction in that one day that we had, it's retaliated massively because people know what Sandbox is capable of, and it did a complete U-turn, albeit not immediately, but it's very much done it. But what's interesting is we haven't quite got to the previous tops, but I think that's coming. I really do think that's coming. Not necessarily immediately, but certainly something that will happen over the next month or two for sure. But I was really surprised not to be testing these areas, because if we look at the sort of psychological aspect of charts historically, we've gone from this like 80 cent mark, and albeit, to be fair, even me talking about when I got mine at 10 and going to 80, that's still a big drive up, right? But we've gone on a major price discovery mode here, really. I don't really class that as a testing of a support level. I think that's a reduction of profit taking, and we went up and up and up, taken the profits. Obviously confidence dripped out, and people are like, oh, this is boring, or I haven't got land, I can't get land, I've got enough of it, I'm just going to sell it and get something else. Loads of different variables, right, for this drop in the market, as well as just market trend, of course. But what fascinates me is this nice drop down here. We haven't fully tested this area, so I'm a bit cautious of that. And certainly in the winter markets, don't get me wrong, in the winter markets, I'm sure, irrespective of the game's performance and everything, we'll have big drops, as we will across the board in the markets. But right now, I'm really intrigued because we've hit some very nice new lower highs. We've come down to try and test lower levels, and it's completely rejected this area here around this sort of $4.50. Okay, so we've had the stability for some time. I would say that's about 2 weeks worth, and we've done tail up again, obviously. And this is also as well once the alpha season is finished, so the boredom hasn't kicked in, or the emphasis of like, oh well, that's done now, we're going to wait. Now you just got the usual NFT drops and things like that. But this whole month aspect has nearly gone into green, and the week has already. The 3 months is still very, very positive because obviously we've had this big driver. Once this 1 month diverts into green, which I think it should do probably over these next few days, in my opinion, because I do think we'll hopefully get some stabilization around this area here. I do anticipate a slight drop down, maybe back to 550 to test this fib retracement level again. Yeah, I'm still conscious, and I'm still, do you know what, personally I'm leaving a buy order down here just in case, because I don't know the wave patterns that are coming. You just don't know, right? Okay, we might be entering the bull run eventually soon, but I do still think that you're going to have corrections along the way, okay? And that can sometimes take a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. We'll have a nice tail up and then a drop down. So I'm leaving that in there, and I'll certainly be leaving that area in there again. Now we've gone up, there'll be a bit of profit taken, but I would, think that we would have some interesting movements around this $5 eventually. However, the momentum, this is what I want to talk about right now. Not just the momentum of Sandbox as the game, but the momentum of its whole entire chart movements here. So we've got some really good data here. Obviously, great points of purchasing would have been a week ago or a few days back, right in the middle, really, of this tail off of the overselling on the histogram here. So we've had that nice wave pattern. We've dropped in. The MACD has completely switched over. I wasn't too happy with this spike up. I would like to have seen more of a gradual narrowing and then a spike over. That's why I'm a bit conscious of leaving this buy area in. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to fully come down to this area, or it will definitely, but just from what I'm seeing, I didn't like this spike. Okay, so that's why I'm leaving it in there. Just I want to explain that. What I wanted to see really, as you see this widening of the MACD lines here, I would like to have seen that continue and then have more of a organic switch over, or certainly a closer movement. But now already we're seeing, and albeit it hasn't closed today, it's not finished today, but we're already seeing a bit of a wave occurring. Not saying that might definitely happen, but we might see a bit of a drop off. It might have been a quick over purchase before we drop down to correct still a bit more. So just be cautious of that, okay? I would like to see a pattern like this. This could still happen, of course. And that's where we look at the RSIs in particular, back at these levels, where 45, very respectable on a 14-day. We're now tracking around 60, okay? So this has actually moved quite well. And in my opinion, if we can track around, stabilize around this sort of 60 to 50 mark, I think we've got some really good momentum and drive behind this project in the chart to push it upwards even further. And I strongly believe like we will definitely smash through that previous all-time high as we approach the bull run momentum, hopefully coming in the next few months. And in terms of where we might see Sandbox going, someone asked this in the last video. Well, I think we spoke about this in the previous video. I was quite impressed if we would get to around $15, and I still think that's really achievable. Will it go beyond that? It is possible, of course, but I'm being realistic in the sense that I'm going to see a lot of resistance at $10, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of corrections along that point once we do hit that area around here, and we'll probably test back down to these 833 levels that we saw as the previous all-time high, or the one we've got currently. And I'm just thinking ahead, but I do think $15 is very achievable, and maybe top end around that 18 to 20. We could look at some more macro levels and say it could go a hell of a lot higher, but I think that's very, very beyond what I think it could do in the coming run. Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. What's your end of the bull run prediction? Mine is still sticking around that $15 mark, not just because of the fib retracements, but I'm really interested in the staggering approach. And if the bull run comes, then we've got to anticipate surely that big drop and winter market. I just don't think. I think there's a lot of money in Sandbox already, a significant amount, especially for the land purchases. But I can't see, unless there's a big more opportunity around metaverse and that conversation, the momentum, of course, of Sandbox's launches and game in general will continue a good, healthy direction forwards as it is. But I think it's going to take a lot, not just organically, but beyond the extra variables beyond that to push us to way above $20. I could be completely wrong, but that's my thought and process, that I think $10 to $15 is going to be a very edgy approach in my opinion. But like I said, let us know what you think about that below. Look at the percentage gains we've already had year to date. Can we really stretch more over a year's period? I don't know, but it's in a very healthy position. I'm really excited about Sandbox. I will try and re-enter if we get back to the lower regions of that buy-in box that we've put in. But at the moment, I'm not majorly interested because I've got a big portfolio, loads of different projects going on. I can't see the gains that I'd want to see. But it's all great looking at $6 to 15, but that's actually only a double capacity. Like I said, if I held on at the beginning, I would 100% have been selling off around that $8 mark anyway, and keeping some more, but I didn't do that. So I'm not going to jump in because the price is looking great and crazy. I'd rather wait again, and look at other opportunities, look at other gaming opportunities. We'll do a video on that next week, the next top 5 games to look out for, as we did with Decentraland Sandbox. Hopefully people listen to that. Hopefully people listen to our that video as well, because we mentioned things like Network and Illuvium and a few other games as well. So we'll do a new one, and that will hopefully entice us for the next round of gaming platforms moving forward in blockchain and crypto. So guys, let us know in the comments below if you're holding sand, if you're holding land, if you're holding selling, whatever you're doing about sand. Let us know in the comments. But until the next video, guys, which we'll hopefully do on sand maybe next week, just to see how this correction occurs that we might see over these next few days. We will see you in the next sand video. Take care and bye bye.